All right, everybody. So, yesterday we got to learn LIFO, which is the last in, first out method for perpetual inventory, and it was quite easy. Method out there, which is going to be the perpetual moving average. Now, periodic, it's considered weighted average. You're going to see why this average is going to be moving along as we make our purchases and as we make our sales. Okay, so let's all go ahead and get started. So of course, moving average, right? Everything's going to stay the same, except this time we are going to be focusing on an average cost per item. So sounds familiar from our previous lecture, right? Our previous lecture was when we're dealing with periodic inventory, we dealt with also an average cost per item. But this case, yes, it's going to apply as well for perpetual inventory. Okay. So everything's the same, and except we're going to be applying the average cost per item. So let's go ahead and get started with the first exercise or first example. Okay, so on June 1st, you made a purchase of 100 toys at $1.25 each, and freight is $25. Okay, so there's the journal for that. So we're going to plug in our numbers. So it should be, so we have a total quantity of 100, and we have your cost per item is going to be $1.25. Unit cost, giving us a grand total of $125 plus the freight, give us a grand total of $150. And then here we only have one batch, so our average cost per item is going to be the same. It's going to be the same here because we only have one batch. There's no other batch to add up together, right? So our cost per item here is the same as our average cost per item. All right, so let's see what happens when we made a sale. Here we made a sale on June 3rd. You sold 55 toys for $5 each. Okay, and now we recognize it here. We still only have one batch, so we could go ahead and safely take that from that batch and continue going forth. So this right here is the generic. It begins in every single scenario we've done so far. It's the same. The only difference is once we start making our purchases, you'll see how different it gets. So now we have our new batch of our first item, right? Our first batch that we bought. We now have 45, right? And now it's costing me $67.50. Okay. Now, on June 5th, you made another purchase of 100 toys at $1.28, and freight is $26. So here now we're introducing another batch. In this case, it's again the same 100 items, or except for 100 items at $1.28. So there's 128 here. We add our freight, we get $154. Now, this is where, are you going to solve the cost per item? Okay, no, you're not going to solve for the cost per item. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to add the totals together. So instead of doing our cost per item, we're going to add our total amounts together. So in this case, we made a calculation here. We added 100 plus 45, so now we have 145. And then we added 76.50 to our 154, and now we have 221.50 cents. Okay, so this is now where we can calculate our average cost per item. Yes. $1. What did you say? 1862? Oh, 25. Okay. All right. Since my PowerPoint cannot display all those numbers, but of course Excel can. So in this case, here is my answer for 1.5275. Okay. So here we found our new average cost per item. And let's see what happened next. Here, again, on June 10th, we made another purchase of 100 items. But this time it's $1.30 each, and my freight is going to be $27. So again, I plugged in here. I know it's going to be $130 for my total purchase price, plus $27. We'll make it $157. And here, again, are we going to solve for a cost per item? No, we need to start adding them all together. So now, instead of at 145, I'm going to add my 100 together. Now I have a grand total of 245 at $378.50. Now let's calculate our average cost now. $1.448. Now, you see how this is moving along? We started at the top. Every batch that we made, our number starts to change, right? We made batch number 2, we got to change our average cost per item, right? It's no longer 150, it's now 152. Then when we made our third batch, instead of 152, now it's 154. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and on June 12th, we sold 120 toys at $5 each. Sorry. So in this case, we're going to sell 120 items. At what cost are we going to sell each item? Exactly, 1.5548, because we calculated a new average. So now we have this right here, 1.5448 multiplied by that 120. You should get $185.39 here. And we subtract it from our table here to get a new total of 125, right? 245 minus 120 gives you 125. And now my new cost is going to be 193.11. Now you also need to also recalculate the new average cost per item here. Hello? Good. Mm-hmm. 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 Now, yes, it came out to be the same exact number, but on a very mini scale, if you extend this out or expand it, it's actually not 1.5448. It's actually 1.5448 something else, but it's not the 6.2 anymore. It changed by 2,000. It changed by a 10,000th of a penny. All right? Now, every time we sell something, every time we purchase something, we need to recalculate a new average cost per item, okay? because they'll be at a point where you're selling so many items that it's going to affect your total cost per item. Okay, but obviously the more bigger picture or the more influential one is going to be your purchases, because ultimately that's going to change, because your purchases will affect how your average cost per item is, because you're going to be purchasing your item at a certain cost and you're adding freight. So that one is going to give you a different dramatic change, where you selling something is only going to affect it very, very at a mini level, okay? So in this case, good. We have 125 and it's going to be at 193.11, which is going to give you $1.5448. Okay. And then of course, we've already going to total our total. So here we have 125 in total. All right. And that is it for that one. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, right? No need to calculate separate anymore. No need to have no need to have color codes anymore. It's just simply just gonna go straight off, and that's it. The only real calculation you need is going to be the calculation to recalculate your average cost per item. Okay. All right, so what happens when we have beginning inventory, okay? So for the following information, okay, so we know that on June 15, we had a total of 125 toys. So let's look back at what our previous answer was. So we know it's 193.11 at $1.5448. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and carry that over here into our worksheet. So I have it here in the middle part. That's fine. So here I have my 125. It's going to cost me 193.11, and my average cost is going to be the $1.5448. Now this is, we're still doing moving average. So here we take our collective and we bring it to the next part as a collective. Okay. So then what happened next? Well, on June 18th, you sold 90 items for $5 each. Okay. So in this case, we sold $90. There's only one batch to look at, so we're going to multiply by that 15448. Okay. And we should get a total of 139.04. Okay. Same thing here. We're going to subtract it out, and now we're going to get a brand new cost, which is going to be 35 items at $54.07. Okay. And now I need to recalculate my new cost per item, or my average cost per item, and I should still get the same exact answer or number, because on if we expand it again on we have more decimal places after that, you'll see it change very, very slowly. Okay. So then now on June 21st, we purchase another 100 toys at $1.32. Okay, and the freight cost was $26. So here I'm going to add my new batch in there. I got 100 items at $1.32, giving me 132 plus 26 should give me $1.58. And then again, we're going to rinse and repeat. We're going to add those two numbers together, and we get 135 total, giving us a grand total of $212.07. Now, what is my total average cost per item? Good. 1.5708. See, we picked up another item, and here it is. Now we're mixing them all together. So in this case, we don't care what came first. We don't care what came last. All we care is just adding them all up together and just selling them as is. Okay? Whether it came from the first batch or whether it came from the last batch, it doesn't matter. We're just combining them all together. Okay? If you think of it as a storage unit, it's possible that you're probably packing it in, right? The oldest are in the back, the newer in the front. Because eventually, once you pack them all in there, you're not going to take from the back, you're going to take from the front. So at this point, it doesn't matter. All right. So then on the 25th of June, you purchase another 100 toys at $1.35 with freight of 27. So here again, we're going to add another one for 135 plus freight, which gives you 162. Now we need to recalculate our another batch. So now instead of having 135, we're at 235. All right, and it's giving us a grand total of $374.07, which we need to recalculate a brand new average cost per item. And what do we get here? $1.5917. So as we are moving forth and picking up our stuff, notice that even if you were to calculate the cost per item here, this is $1.62. The one above that is $1.58. And notice that because I'm adding these two numbers together, it's shrinking the number smaller. So instead of selling it at $1.62, it's now $1.58. Sorry, 59. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up. So here on June 27th, you sold 120 items for $5 each. Okay. So here we're taking our 120. We're going to be taking the only batch that is there, which is going to be my 159.17. Okay. Because it doesn't matter when we sell it. And we're selling the entire thing anyway, because this is the total amount of items I have available to sell. And because we're doing average costing, I don't care. I'm not going to split it. So you're going to take that number and you're going to multiply it each one. And I should get $191.01. Of course, we're going to subtract that out. And now we got a grand total. So 235 minus 120 is giving me a total of 115. And our new total is going to be 183.06. So let's go ahead and calculate the average cost here. See, now because of that 1 penny that we sold it for, it changed our average cost per item by 1/1000 of a penny. Okay, so again, every time you sell something, you need to calculate a brand new average cost per item. Every time we purchase something, you need to calculate a new average cost per item. So this is why we're moving the average along, because every transaction that happens, we need to recalculate it. We need to change it. So every time we make an entry, it's moving the average along. Okay? So that's exactly where that is. last part of the scenario is going to be June 28. You sold 65 toys at $5 each. And then lastly, make sure we note that on June 30, you have a total of 50 toys on or left in inventory. So in this case, we're going to sell 65 items. And let's go ahead and do that. So 65, all right, and we're taking our new average cost, which is going to be the 159.18 instead of 17, right? And we're going to calculate that I got a total of 103.47. We're going to subtract that out of our new group item, and we're going to recalculate. So here, 115 minus 65 gives us 50, which is what we end with. Yay. So we got it right there. 50. When we minus that 103.47, now we get 79.59. So now what is my new average cost per item moving forward? Good. Yeah, it's the same thing. Good. All right. And then if you'd like to total up your ending stuff at the bottom when you're at the end of the period, it's up to you. All right. Any questions on moving average? It's the easiest and it's the quickest, so that's why I'm expecting we should be done in about an hour. And again, I'm not going to force upon another concept. This is it of chapter 8. We're done with chapter 8.